means. It means being prepared and expecting the unexpected. It means having what we need in order to be able to weather a storm. And it means being able to bounce back and recover from whatever Mother Nature throws our way just as soon as we possibly can. We need to build resiliency as a city and as a community by a couple of things. Making sure our utilities are ready for severe weather, and in the event of outages, that we are ready to restore service as soon as possible. By providing warnings and warning centers and shelters for those who need those after we make sure that our people are warned in an appropriate way, that they have a place that they can go. Those shelters are going to be needed. They're going to need to be expanded. We're going to need to have multi-agency resource centers. Those are known as MARCs when an emergency happens. We're going to need to be able to deliver vital information to community members as quickly and as broadly as possible to help our community and the people living in our community stay safe and continue to be informed. We're going to need to keep our roads as safe as possible and continue to be able to deliver the critical city services that our community depends on, despite the various challenges that the weather may bring. In addition to that, and this is very important, we all individually need to build resiliency into our lives. We want everyone individually to also be prepared. That's why this year you've seen and will continue to see a heavy emphasis on personal readiness. With preparedness, you're seeing preparedness fairs and pop-up events across the city. A new text message system for alerts to warn people early in the event of an emergency, and emergency preparedness guides available at readycentraltexas.org. readycentraltexas.org. Let's face it, we've learned a lot of lessons since Winter Storm Uri, and we found out we hadn't learned them well enough during Winter Storm Mara. So we have taken and applied those lessons, and we've made many changes and investments over the past year to ensure our readiness and our emergency response is what the people of Austin and Travis County expect and they deserve. So today we're kicking off one of the things that's also different about last year. We're going to communicate as much as we can so that the public is aware. And I want to say thank you to all of the media that is here today. You are partners in this, and we're going to need you to continue to do that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to kick off and hear from several departments on the work that they've been doing to prepare for this season. But before I call up those different departments, I first would like to invite our partner in all this, Travis County, and ask Travis County Judge Andy Brown to say a few words. Judge?
Thanks, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Travis County Judge Andy Brown, and I just want to give a big thanks to Mayor Watson and to the city and county and everybody who is working to keep our local government proactive and making sure that we're going to stay safe this winter. We know that it's not a matter of if, but when we see severe weather this winter, and I'm confident that our community can get through this winter season safely. But it is important for everybody to do their part. At Travis County, our priority is to keep the public safe, warm, and moving. That includes before, during, and after any severe weather event. The incredible staff of Travis County from our Office of Emergency Management, represented here by Eric Carter, Transportation and Natural Resources, and Health and Human Services, represented by Ross Stevens here today, will be on the ground helping our community in real time. Our Office of Emergency Management will be at the Emergency Operations Center, coordinating all Travis County departments and working with the City of Austin in those efforts. They will also be communicating with all cities, towns, and villages within our county. It's important to remember that in addition to the City of Austin, there's 21 cities, towns, and villages that are partially or entirely in Travis County. And our Office of Emergency Management coordinates with every city to make sure that they have the support they need for severe weather events. Our transportation and natural resources road crews will be ready to assist to keep our county roadways clear and open for the public in general, but particularly for our first responders and other critical needs. They will also be ready to assist after the storm for any debris management in areas outside of the city of Austin. Our Health and Human Services staff will be ready to support the city of Austin with staff for shelters and warming centers across the city of Austin and Travis County. Our Health and Human Services staff will also serve as the point of contact and coordinators for mental health services and senior assisted living centers when the Operations Emergency Center is activated. All 6 Travis County community centers will be open to the public as warming centers during normal business hours and can extend hours when needed. While we do our part at Travis County, we're asking the public to make sure that you're doing your part as well. Now this is the time to start preparing for winter weather. So to our Travis County residents, please start an emergency plan with family and friends and begin reviewing how to safely keep your house warm, travel safely, and prepare for power outages. It is important to start having these conversations with your family and friends now to help reduce injuries and property damage for residents over the winter season. Remember that everyone is at risk from the dangers of extreme cold, but newborns, elderly, chronic illness, outdoor workers, and the unhoused are more vulnerable than most. Everyone should have an emergency plan. Having a plan is crucial to you staying healthy, ensuring the comfort of your family, and responding quickly to any emergencies and disruptions. We will get through this winter season together. Para nuestros residentes del condado de Travis, los alentamos a que empiecen un plan de emergencia con sus amigos y familiares y busquen maneras de prepararse en caso de que haya cortes de energía en su área. Just want to thank you very much, and again, thank Mayor Watson for pulling us all together today.
Thank you, Judge. With that, I'm going to invite up our Director of the Austin Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, Ken Snipes, for him to give you a briefing, and then we're going to hear from a number, as I've indicated, of people that are responsible in the city of Austin for specific areas as we face this winter. So, Director Snipes.
Thank you, Mayor Watson. Good morning. Again, I'm Ken Snipes, Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and I'm here this morning to talk about winter weather preparations and why they are important. Our climate is changing, and extreme weather is becoming more common in Central Texas. Over the past few years, our region has experienced major winter storms, and the National Weather Service is expecting severe winter storms to continue to be a regular occurrence here. Impacts from severe weather can include utility service interruptions, unsafe road conditions, or frozen pipes in homes. As a result, our approach to winter weather preparations must change. The time for you and your family to get ready is now, to avoid a hurried preparation once a storm is imminent. The City of Austin has already started preparing for winter weather. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is working with city departments and nonprofit agencies to coordinate preparation activities and to organize response and recovery efforts. And just as the city is preparing, we need you to prepare as well. We are calling on all Austinites who have the means to take the necessary steps to prepare themselves so that we as a community are ready for the next storm, and because a prepared community is also a resilient community. By taking the steps necessary to prepare and protect yourself, your family, and your home, you allow first responders to focus on the most vulnerable members of our community. Our office is a resource for community members and will continue efforts to provide training and education. These efforts include monthly pop-up and emergency preparedness training, as well as our Ready Together training program. The Ready Together training program is a 2-hour classroom course that takes preparedness and resilience training into our communities, and it helps our communities learn how to face a variety of emergencies. If you need help with creating your emergency plan, download our neighborhood preparedness guide at readycentraltexas.org to get started. And Lastly, we ask that you please take the necessary steps to help your family and your neighbors make Austin a more resilient and prepared city. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bob Kahn with Austin Energy, and I'm here today to talk to you about what Austin Energy is doing to prepare for winter weather. We prepare year-round for extreme weather, and we begin in September. At our power plants and substations, the focus is on weatherizing, insulating, and inspecting equipment. And we have performed and scheduled more frequent inspections throughout the winter months. Our personnel are trained for winter weather emergencies, and critical supplies are in stock. We expanded our emergency management team and have mutual aid contracts ready. You may recall Ice Storm Mara, within a day of that occurring, we had about 400 members of other utilities that showed up to help us out. Our vegetation management crews continue to focus on tree trimming around our poles and equipment. And it's important to remember not every winter emergency is the same. In 2021, as the mayor mentioned, we had a loss of statewide power generation, caused outages throughout Texas, and this past February we had the Ice Storm Mara. It was a catastrophic ice storm. It wreaked havoc in our area and the Austin area, and we lost over 10 million trees were either killed or knocked down, which is a huge problem, falling into poles, infrastructure around the city. Now let me talk a little bit about what customers can do to prepare for a potential winter emergency. No matter what the cause, our community, our customers can prepare for a potential winter emergency by making sure Austin Energy has your correct contact information and that you signed up for text alerts and you know how to report an outage. So it's really important that you sign up for these text alerts. We want to help you, but you need to give us your text numbers so that we can contact you if there's a problem. And it's simple to do that. Just text REG, as in register, REG to 287-846. So that's REG, REG to 287-846. So whether you're planning how to safely run a generator at your house, storing a bag of salt for to clean up your driveway, or thinking about evacuation, you can plan ahead to stay safe during the outage. I mean, I myself, I have extra wood laying around the house, outside of course. I have extra bottles of water. I have a to-go bag with medicine, you know, things that you can't get on short notice. I actually have a stash of clothes set aside. My wife does too. Not as many. I think she views this, if there's a problem, as an opportunity to go on a shopping spree, but that's neither here nor there. But all these resources are a click away at austinenergy.com/outage. And if you want current grid information and resources are always available at austinenergy.com/alerts. Thanks. And Anna from Wastewater City Water Department.
Right here.
Water is right there.
Right here. Good morning. I am Anna Bryan Borja, Austin Water's Assistant Director of Business Services. I want to let you know that Austin Water is prepared for the winter season. Our team works hard every day in all kinds of extreme conditions to provide reliable, high-quality service to our customers and to minimize service interruptions. And every year we've used our experience from past events, including winter storms, to improve our operational readiness and be ready to face any challenges that will come our way. Austin Water's pipes and our plants are also ready for winter weather. Our preparation includes winterizing our infrastructure with insulation and with heating elements so that our plants and our distribution system can withstand extreme weather. We also continue to test and maintain backup power generators, and we have contracts in place for additional power equipment if needed. We've worked closely with Austin Energy to make sure that our power resilience is where it needs to be as we enter the winter season. Austin Water's people are also prepared for winter weather. We've continued to enhance our incident management team, and we have the ability to anticipate problems and respond to those in real time. We've practiced our crisis response in multiple scenarios with our agency partners, including many who are in this room today. We've procured safety equipment so that our field Field crews will be able to work through extreme weather, including hats, gloves, spiked boots, and other important needs for freezing conditions. We also have food, water, cots, other shelter-in-place supplies at our plants so that our staff can work 24/7 to provide plant operations and minimize service interruptions. Equally important is that Austin Water is helping the public prepare for winter weather in their homes. Our goal is to make sure that our customers avoid having those frozen pipes or broken pipes that were mentioned earlier. And how we're doing that is that we've shared valuable winter weather preparedness tips through our website, austinwater.org. On that website, we have videos that show, for example, when to drip a faucet and also how to shut off the water to your home at the valve. Speaking of preparedness and having a kit and being ready, next week we will be offering giveaways of winter weather preparedness toolkits at the city's utility customer service offices. Next week you can stop by to pick up a kit that includes a meter valve key, a hose bib cover, and handy tip sheets. We do have a limited supply of those, so I encourage you to check out austinwater.org for more information on these resources. And Austin Water wants to thank our community partners, our community members, our staff, and our employees for helping to be ready for winter weather this season. Thank you.
Chief.
Good morning, Rob Lukritz, Chief of Austin Travis County EMS. Again, as was said by many others here, Austin Travis County EMS has learned many lessons over the years as we've responded to various winter emergencies, and we feel that we are more than adequately prepared for anything that may come at us this weather season. As always, we will always be responding to 911 calls, but as we think forward in terms of how it is that we prepare for winter weather, we really look at it as a three-pronged approach. The first thing we need to ensure is that we are adequately able to respond to traditional 911 emergencies or operations preparations. We've continued to work on winterizing our facilities and our equipment, ensuring that our staff have all of the resources that they need to be able to continue to respond, proper clothing, proper equipment, tire chains, and the like, as well as additional 4x4 vehicles that we can continue to invest in. But in addition to the operations preparations, we also want to make sure that we do everything we can to prevent people from calling 911 in the first place and reducing the overall volume of 911 calls that we experience. Part of our plan is that in the days leading up to winter weather, we have our community health paramedics that could put on additional hours to do additional outreach to persons experiencing homelessness, to make contact with as many individuals as necessary, and ensure that they have information on shelter and warming center information. We work with them to ensure that they have access to transportation, and in some cases that may be utilizing our community health paramedics to provide that transportation if other resources are unavailable. We want to identify any barriers that anyone may have in terms of the ability to go to a shelter, whether it's belongings, pets, or other things, and work with other social service agencies to ensure that they have those resources. And of course, once the shelters are open, our team is providing medical support at those shelters, including continuation of our opiate use disorder program and ensuring that those individuals that require medication-assisted treatment are continuing to get it while they are in a shelter. And lastly, as we prepare for the winter weather, we want to make sure that in the event that the weather becomes severe, that we have adequate preparations in place to be able to modify our responses as necessary. We continue to, during winter weather events, we expand our telehealth capabilities to try to resolve as many medical emergencies and medical needs over telehealth, over the phone. We upstaff our dispatch center. We also provide additional resources so that if individuals are calling for other reasons that don't require transport to the hospital, we can support them. And in the event that there is a loss of power, we staff additional resources that can provide medical resources to these individuals that may have other needs, such as ventilator support, oxygen support, and other things that require power, until which time that the power can be restored. I appreciate your time and attention, and with that, I'll pass this to Anna Urueta from Austin Public Health.
Good morning. I'm Anna Urueta with Austin Public Health. As winter weather approaches, we want to highlight the health threats that can come from the coldest time of year. It's crucial to stay safe and follow best health practices to reduce the burden of our healthcare system and our EMS responders. Our epidemiologists are already seeing a rising trend in visits to hospitals and doctors' offices for respiratory illness and flu-like symptoms. For this reason, it is very important to protect yourself. Get vaccinated with your COVID vaccine or your flu vaccine as soon as possible. Getting that protection means that you can visit friends and family during the holidays without worrying about spreading those viruses and keeping our hospitalization rates low. Kids, teens, parents, and grandparents can get both vaccines. You can knock them out at the same time. Schedule with us at Shots for Tots or at Big Tots, or go to the many doctors' offices and pharmacies to get these vaccines. Our department is prepared and ready to coordinate any needed multi-agency resource centers, known as MARCs, should an emergency happen. These are used to help with recovery efforts. MARCs are essential during a crisis to answer community members' questions and provide resources such as charging centers and mental health support and food. MARCs were most recently deployed during the last winter storm in February. We've done a lot of work to prepare ourselves and learn from best practices so we can be ready next time. While the MARCs are here for support, we want people to be prepared for the essentials.
Good morning. Richard Mendoza, Director for Transportation and Public Works. And I'm happy to report that our crews are ready to implement our snow and ice response plan in the event of a winter emergency to ensure that our roadways and bridges are maintained and kept safe through the duration of the event. You know, as we all know, these winter events seem to be increasing both in terms of their intensity and duration. So the classical approach here in Austin has always been to kind of wait out the storm and let us thaw out within 24 hours. Well, that's no longer occurring. So within that vein, we have added resources and equipment and trained our personnel to be proactive and apply anti-icing and de-icing agents on our critical roadways and bridges. In addition, we have heavy equipment and have trained operators to move snow accumulations in the event we do have another snow event. We have exercise, 2 tabletop exercises as well as 1 dry run exercise. And of course, with each event, we look to improve and get better in our response. And so our aim is to ensure that all critical roadways and bridges throughout our city are either de-iced, pre-treated, or snow removal within 24 hours. In addition to that, we have 1,100 signalized intersections throughout our city. And with power outage, many of those will go dark for some period of time. We've ramped up the number of intersections that we have implemented battery backups. And in the event that power outage is prolonged beyond that battery backups, we've purchased additional generators that can be deployed at these high-profile and critical intersections. But the main thing that I want to ask our community is to pay attention to the weather conditions. The best way that you can help our crews when we're out there in these hazardous conditions is to stay off the roads. That will allow our equipment to respond more quickly and ensure that we're maintaining these critical roadways and access for critical services throughout our city. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Austin Development Services Department Assistant Director, Brenda De La Garza.
Good morning. My name is Brenda De La Garza, and I'm Assistant Director with Development Services Department. Development Services is committed to building safety in our community, and seasonal weather events can create unique risks and challenges. Taking a few key steps before and after a winter storm can help keep your home and business safe. Freezing water pipes can cause significant damage to plumbing, as well as walls, ceilings, and floors. Make sure to check for problems and have leaky plumbing repaired. The risk of structural fires and carbon monoxide poisoning increases in the winter. Do not use supplemental heating inside your dwelling, such as a grill, oven, or generator, and check for functioning smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. Be mindful that ice and wind can damage trees. Trim dead or loose limbs near your home before winter weather arrives. If you are a tenant whose safety is threatened by an unresolved code violation, call Austin 311 to request a code inspector. After severe winter weather events, we know it is crucial to begin repairs as quickly as possible. If your property is damaged by a winter storm, you may begin repairs right away to prevent further damage. If you need to remove part or all of a storm-damaged tree, take photos before starting work. This helps us confirm the extent of damage and assess overall impact. Your safety is our priority. We will work with you to ensure your repairs are completed safely and issue a permit if it is needed. Our inspectors are available 24/7 for emergency electrical and gas inspections to restore service after a repair. Monitor our Permits for Emergency Repairs webpage for more information about emergency repairs and specific updates after an event. The last few years have shown how deeply our community is affected when we experience widespread damage from a weather event. If you experience storm-related damage to your home or business this winter, the Development Services Department will be ready to assist with your recovery. With that, I'll hand it back to Mayor Kirk Watson.
Well, thank you, and thanks all to everybody for doing the jobs you do and presenting. We're going to open up for questions, but what I'd like to say as we do that is there's been a lot of work this year, and you can hear some of that in all the presentations and with the people that you've met this morning that are providing those presentations. There's been a lot of work this year to do things in a way and be prepared in a way that when we have a big weather event, we'll be ready. But I want to be very clear. First, we will probably have a big weather event. That is not something that you can predict standing here today on the first day of December in 2023, but we should anticipate that we will have a big weather event. Second, there will be things that are unexpected as a result of that big weather event. Lots of good preparation, lots of changes, and lots of different approaches have been put into place over the past year. But there will be things that are unexpected that will cause a disruption. Third, responses will not always be perfect, or at least the way we might want them to be exactly under the circumstances. But there will be a response, and it will be a coordinated response, and the efforts will be made as you've just heard. And then finally, what I want to say is I want to reiterate, we are doing what we can to be resilient and to be ready by being prepared and then being in a position to recover as quickly as possible. But this is a team effort. It's not just the government and the entities of government. We must all individually also participate in that and be prepared. So with that, I'll open it up for questions, and we'll make sure the right people can answer your questions. Yes.
Crystal Dominguez with Spectrum News. 2028 seems like a long time to have the tree trimming complete. What if this happens again next year? I know you mentioned preparedness and individual responsibility, but what if this happens again?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by what happens if this happens again. If you mean
the tree power line situation.
Sure. Well, we're moving as rapidly as we can. I'll have Bob answer more about that. But one of the things is that when I took office, we were behind on where we should be when it came to our vegetation management program. We are moving with that vegetation management program as rapidly as is responsible, and we can make it happen. But I will tell you, there may be incidents where we have a situation again with that. In addition to that, I will say to the public, when we're doing these kinds of things, we need to make sure that there's cooperation in that regard. because it does make a difference. But as you know, there's been a lot of focus on this. In fact, in the budget cycle, we even put $1 million into that budget cycle to study putting lines underground. So there's a lot of effort going into this. Again, it will not be perfect, but we need to make sure that there's cooperation, and we as a city are looking into alternatives about how we may not need the same level of vegetation management because you don't have the power lines overhead. Bob, you want to add anything to that?
I could just add a couple of things, Mayor. So we have 85 crews that are out there every day trimming trees, vegetative management. One of the problems we have is human capital. It is difficult to find enough crews to work on this, but we are catching up. And going back to February, when there's 10.4 million trees knocked down, that goes way beyond our vegetative management program. When you all know what it looked like. But we are catching up, and we're making good progress.
One other thing I'll say about that, and then go to another question, is sometimes things happen that change even the way you approach those kinds of questions. For example, and this is vegetation management 101, probably about as simplistic as you can make it. But when people think of vegetation management, they appropriately think about taking out those tree limbs that are over a power line. So if this is a power line and this is a tree limb, well, you clear that. One of the things that happened in February of this year is that the ice was so extreme and lasted so long that even limbs that weren't over the power line gained ice, and they ended up over the power line and then fell. And you had instances like that. So again, even in good circumstances, it sometimes doesn't end up being the perfect circumstances. But what I will tell you is this has been a year of focus on those sorts of things, and we're making significant progress. Yeah, Fred?
We've done stories this year about the shortage of staffing at the 911 call center. What are we doing to make sure that we have enough people in this emergency?
Well, again, that's another area that was an inherited area where we were behind in January of last year, and we've made real progress in that regard. I'll ask Chief Mills to come up and make a comment about it, but we've made significant progress, and we have, well, I'll let him give detail before I.
Thank you, Mayor.
Before I say I'm going to call him up and then give the answer.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. I don't have all the numbers with me today, but as the Mayor said, we have made significant improvements in our 911 center. We're not 100% staffed, but we will be close to 100% staffed in the next 2 to 3 weeks in 911. We've made some changes in terms of staffing and response to that, so I think we're ready for this winter. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Grace with KXAN. Could you talk a little bit about, sort of generally, I know that there was a lot in the September After Action report, but can you give folks an idea of how many of those items you think that you have checked off your list?
Well, I haven't gone through and used my crayon to check all those, but even before the After Action report came out, we were moving on items. So the After Action report in a lot of ways was not a surprise to us, because we had the previous After Action report, and you could tell things that hadn't been done. And again, I'll say it again, and that is that one of the biggest problems with the After Action report from, I guess, 2 years ago was that people hadn't reacted to that. And so, again, we get to February of this year, right as I took office, we had this, and things had not been done from the previous After Action report that might have made us more resilient. There would have been some things that probably you couldn't have reacted to under the circumstances. But so we reacted immediately after that, and Director Snipes was put into a position to take a number of immediate actions. There's been significant progress on that After Action report. One of the things that I'll highlight is the better coordination. Director Snipes has done a really good job of making sure that all of our departments are better coordinated and done a much better job of training with regard to what communication needs to be, not just out to the community, but within the city government to make sure that people know what's going on and can react in an appropriate way. But why don't I call him up and let him give anything that he wants to more specifically. But the bottom line to it is we were acting on the after action report. Let me rephrase that. We were acting upon what we perceived to be failures and problems and holes in the system immediately after February without waiting for the after action report. And frankly, one of the things I wasn't surprised about when the after action report came out was that there were going to be things that we should have been doing because of the previous after action report and just the city had not been doing it. I promised that one of the things we would do is we would shake up and stabilize the way the management of operations happened in this building, and that is one of the areas where we have done that. And that was a very specific example of where it needed to be done.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Ken Snipes with Homeland Security and Emergency Management. One of the things that we've done specifically in regards to the after-action reports themselves is start to manage those programmatically. And so what I mean by that is what we're starting to do is take accounting of all of the after-action reports from the various events from the past few years. We're aggregating those now and designing a program that allows us to keep track of those, to address issues in a coordinated fashion, to be able to do so more efficiently, working with departments across the city to make sure that we're all on the same page, and where it makes the most sense, we're aggregating our planning so that we can move the program forward. So we've made a significant number of changes, especially as the mayor mentioned, with coordinating and talking amongst ourselves and with our governmental agents, non-governmental partners as well. And so I think that's going to be the focus for us going forward, is making sure that we are not losing sight of things that have been on after-action reports from the past, but that we're still bringing those things to the forefront and prioritizing them and working on the ones that make the most sense or that give us the best opportunity to address issues quickly.
Director, really quick before you walk away, you talked to council earlier this week about the dozens of plans that you all have been through this year. Can you talk about that process, what that looked like?
Yeah, so recently Homeland Security and Emergency Management led the city's emergency management reaccreditation process. And as part of that process, we had an opportunity to go through all of our emergency plans and update them to make sure that they are effective, that they build upon one another, and that they allow us to capture and move forward with all of the things necessary to build a good, robust response. So that was something that we finished October 20th. And we made a lot of progress with that. And it's one of the things that we're able to say for sure has allowed us to take a real leap in terms of moving the bar forward in terms of how we respond to emergencies going forward.
We have one more question over here.
Yeah, I'm Malia with KVU. Do you have any sort of, this is for Mayor Watson, do you have any sort of estimate of how much the city has spent on, a cost estimate of how much the city has spent on winter preparations this year?
You know, I don't have that, but we ought to get that for you. And I didn't think about bringing that down here today, and I'll look and see if we put something together on that. Since I didn't have an answer, I'll do one more.
Actually, I have a question for Judge Brown.
Good. Come on, Judge.
I know the Travis County Commissioners have been working on these resiliency hubs, I think you've been calling them. What exactly what's in place, and what role do they play in the response?
Yeah, I think, and Eric, I might get you up here to help me on this. The part of what we're trying to do is these warming centers that we have, we're trying to get emergency backup power at those warming centers across the county, Expo Center, and then the other community centers that the county has. There's one part which is the connector from the electricity to a generator that is apparently in short supply these days that we're trying to get to accomplish that. I will note that the city, I don't think I'm revealing any secrets, but the city did a great job with the marshalling yard and has amazing backup generator power there. As an aside, do you want to talk a little more specifically about the?
Yeah, at a high level, there's been a lot of resiliency across the county. Period. A lot's gone on in the city, quite frankly, with their resiliency planning and a lot of the hub concepts. What the judge is referring to is, as part of our resiliency efforts, we've been doing a lot of work to strengthen our community centers, making better use of the facility out at the exposition center to dual purpose. Obviously, it's an entertainment venue, but it's also, we're strengthening it, hardening it so it can be a better position to support the community in the disaster. So there's a lot of ongoing planning on resiliency in Travis County. Those are just some of the ways we're taking on resiliency efforts. We're also doing some planning to look at how does that work in neighborhoods in Travis County. But that is a work in progress. We're happy with it, but it's a work in progress. All right.
Tell them who you are.
Thank you. I'm Eric Carter. I'm the Chief Emergency Management Coordinator for Travis County.
And just one other thing on that. In emergencies, in COVID, in the winter storms, we have had to turn everything from the city convention center into sort of an overflow for hospitals during COVID. Did the same thing at the expo center that the county runs. And so there are, like, as another example, last summer in the wildfire danger, we booted out whatever plans we had for the expo center, whoever was contracting with it, and we prepared to have an emergency shelter in case of fires. The city does the same thing. And so as best we can tell, when there's a big emergency coming, we have to make those hard decisions, just like the city does, about, do we use the convention center? Do we use the marshalling yard? Do we use the expo center as an emergency shelter? And that depends so much on the specifics. Is it COVID? Is it a freeze? Is it something else? But thank you, Fred.
So
thanks,
with
Fred.
that, we'll wrap up with just a couple of other comments. One is, as you can tell, those of y'all that covered this and those of you in the community that are watching, this year has been a year where we have worked very hard to shake things up so that we will be better prepared. I feel very strongly, and I said it back at the beginning of the year when we were in that storm, that there were parts of what was going on at the city that the city was not prepared, and we have worked to make changes to get us to a point where we are prepared. But let me be clear. There will be things that are unexpected. There will be things happen that we wish had happened differently, or we had a better response. But we will work very hard to be the kind of resilient city that we need. But that also means we need folks to also be prepared for a winter storm event, because there is likely to be a winter storm event. That's just one of the realities of the changes in our climate. Two things that I want to make clear about. One is, if you need assistance or advice on how to be personally ready, please get one of the emergency preparedness guides. They're available at readycentraltexas.org. readycentraltexas.org. And then, Bob, remind me how people can get alerts from the electric utility, from Austin Energy.
Sure, they can text REG to 287-846.
287-846. Text REG to 287-846 so that you'll be in a position to get a text alert. We will continue to have events like this where we're trying to communicate to the public. That was one of the things that I also felt like wasn't being done as well as it should have been done back when I first came into the office this time. So plan on that. We're going to communicate as much as we can so that you will have, people in the community will have the advice and the information as best we can provide it. I want to thank Judge Brown for being here. I want to thank all of the folks that are the public servants that provide the kind of service that our citizens and residents expect. So thank all of y'all for participating in this, because we couldn't do it without the media making sure that the information is getting out there. And with that, y'all, hope I don't see you until it's cold. Thank y'all.